Tenny's here. Welcome to the circus. I'm Tenny, your D&D loving plushie making alien who crash landed in the post-apocalypse. And this is Carnival. He's a carnival zombie femboy that arose during his own brand of apocalypse. He's super cute and funny and outgoing, the exact opposite of who I am. But that's why I admire him so much. And he's one of the main reasons I exist as a Vtuber today. So, of course, he was always gonna be on my plushie list. So, strap in as I tell you how I turned this zombie into a plushie. Oh, I need better jokes. Now, Crony already has a plushie for his base design, so I thought, alright, why don't I do his human design, Nival? But then somebody said that Crony was already planning a plushie for that. So I was very dejectedly scrolling through Twitter, trying to figure out what are the design of his to do, when I came across this. His ultimate zombie dream design, made by Kaidi. And to my utter horror, my brain immediately went, yes, that's the one. I started the head. I used a base pattern from Mimibit's Coolcraft, but modified it slightly by stitching two different colors of felt together to create his sort of Frankenstein face. For the brain, instead of just having a flat pink, I actually sandwiched two different pieces of felt together, stuffed it with foam, embroidered the brain matter lines on top so the brain would have some squish to it, and then sewed it all down onto the face. The mouth and the stitches were all embroidered on. Crony's hair was actually fairly simple. He has some very distinct shapes to his model that I was able to sort of eyeball and just cut down the size in the appropriate colors. As always, there are two pieces of felt sewn together to give them a bit of extra thickness. Now, I also tried to gradient his hair by using watercolor to dye some of the felt. Spoilers for the ending, I never ever sealed this properly. So when I washed this plushie, everything just came out and I gave up on it. But I didn't know it until the end. So every time you see me talk about using watercolor to dye something, I want you all to scream in the comments at past 10A that all their efforts are going to go down the drain with the rest of the watercolor. Now, because there's so much detail on the ultimate zombie model, I decided to make the body bigger to fit all the details. But I didn't stop there. You see, on Crony's base model, he has this sort of glass dome that showcases his heart. And on the plushie version of that, it's a very cute flat piece of fabric, which is stitched onto the plushie, which is exactly what I was going to do. Until I realized, in Ultimate Zombie model, he doesn't have that dome. It's just a hole with ribs poking out. And I could still have done it the way that they did it with the plushie. I could still have laid it out flat. But my mind, being as dumb and as stupidly ambitious as it is, decided that I wanted to try and recreate that hole in the plushie itself. Now, this is difficult for a couple of reasons. Firstly, there's a reason why a lot of plushies don't have holes made into them, and there's a reason why the Sandy Gas plushie became so memed about on the internet for a while. Plushie holes are hard to do. They're really hard to make. And you have to make it so that the plush is still able to hold its shape. What I decided to do was to cut out the shape of the hole, create the sides of the hole by sewing this strip of fabric inside out, attaching the back of the hole, turning it all inside out in order to create this concave shape inside the plushie. I know I'm not explaining it very well, but that's how I did it. So now he's got an actual concave gap in his chest that I stuffed with his rib cage and a heart made out of plushie material and a bunch of glitter that I poured inside. His leg and arm stitching was pretty much the same as the head. He had a rip in his thigh which I made out of many layered pieces of felt all sewn together and sandwiched so that they wouldn't move. And I also made his feet, which I'm gonna pause on now so that all Crony fans can enjoy. In all seriousness, I spent way too long on his outfit and trying to get things right. But here's the long short of it. I started with his bow. I added in the patterns onto a rough shape, and then I sewed it all down, added the inner lining with the different colors on the inside, and then pinned it to his head. As for his clothing, I did it in layers. I started with the bottommost layer first, so I started with his bloomers and his thong.
Is that a thong? It is if you dream hard enough.
So this was super simple. It was just some rectangular pieces of felt sewn together and then cut down to fit the shape of the pants. And the piece of thong was just a black felt that I sewed on and embroidered with the design. His vest is another story entirely. You see, I was working with this very satiny fabric, and the thing about satin is that it frays a lot at the edges and super easily. If you're working with a bigger piece, it's not so bad, but I'm working on a plushie scale here. And at first, I really tried to follow the image and make each half of his vest out of separate pieces sewn together onto this white canvas. I tried 3 times to make it work. Every time, either the satin frayed, piece was too bulky, or it just didn't look good. And I really wanted it to look good. So I took a break for a little while because I was getting really frustrated. And then I came back to it. I decided to follow what I had already done with the bow. I created this bigger pattern of purple satin and I sewed the white patterns onto it instead of the other way around. And I also ended up embroidering the patterns down so that you would still have more of the shape of it before finally just sewing it down straight onto his body. The white flaps were also sewn down after the vest was pinned down, so it's not actually a flippable flap. Am I still making sense? Then I had to sort of guess what the back of the vest looked like. Luckily, the model does show these waistcoat tails, so I made the inner pattern of that, sewed it down, made the outer pattern of strips and ribbons, sewed that down as well, and voila! He has a completed outfit. This video is actually getting super long. So I'm gonna speed run the next parts a little bit. I embroidered what would be his stockings, sewed that down onto his leg directly, added that, covered up his feet with a bunch of ruffles and ribbons and shoes with pom-poms. I'm sorry Crony fans, this is a modest plushie. I added his fancy bow tie onto his neck, conveniently forgot that there's supposed to be lace there. We're not gonna talk about that. I still think about it in the middle of the night. Then I went to create his white sleeves, which were very similar to how I created his bloomers, just a bunch of white rectangular felt pieces sewed together. I added the fancy purple bell sleeves, dyed the ends of the sleeves. I hope you remember to scold me for that. I made the bows, they took a very long time, sewed them down, made the entrails that hang out of his sleeves, sewed those down, gave Crony a bath because he was going to be shipped away soon and I wanted him to be clean and allergy free. Cried over the fact that the water faded away the watercolor dye and also stained the other parts of the plushie, so I had to spend a whole day to scrub that out, left him to dry in the sun, took him back inside because there was no sun for 2 days, blow dried him, don't make the obvious joke, added the ribbons after accidentally cutting up too many ribbons, sewed those down, and made so many eyeballs. And then I had a bit of a breakdown that was unrelated to all of this, but making plushies helps. So I sewed all of those down, and I added the final plastic pieces and all the other smaller accessories onto his plushie, all the final details that I really love to pay attention to. And after all that, finally, Crony plushie was done. And it is by far one of the most challenging plushies I've ever had to do. But I also had a lot of fun with it, and I'm very happy that Crony, the actual version, recognized my work, and as I'm editing this, Crony Plush is actually being shipped all the way over to him. I am so worried about the mail losing it. But yeah, I loved working on it, and it was really fun. But I am really happy to see it done, and I'm happy to move on to new plushies in the future. Next up is actually our raffle winner from a few months back. Yeah, this took months. So, follow me on Twitch or sub to my YouTube, leave a like, leave a comment if you want to follow along and see the creation of our next plushie. It all really helps. And before I actually go off, I want to say thank you to all of those people that have supported me, who have showed up for streams, who have donated, who have talked to me. I haven't been doing VTubing for very long, and I was super nervous that I wouldn't get anywhere, that I wouldn't be able to create plushies or stream or do D&D for a living. And the support from you guys has been so amazing. I am so happy. It helps motivate me to keep doing this. Making plushies for cool people and telling stories, and like I said, playing D&D. Thank you so much. I still have a really long way to go before I can call this sustainable. But thank you, everyone. I will continue to do my best for everyone. Please stick with me. I promise I'll make it worthwhile. So, stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. Tene is cheering for all of you. Tene out!